What's going on, guys? So as you all probably know by now, we have our Coachman Brookstone out here at our new property on kind of a makeshift low-cost RV slip that we put out here, kind of temporary until we get the barn built to actually house this inside of. But I want to make a video today because we had a very hard rainstorm last night. And you know, when you have your RV out on a piece of property, there are all sorts of things that can happen if you're not in it every single day, kind of paying attention to what might be going on, whether or not there's water leaks, whether or not there's water marks on the ceiling or on the walls, or, you know, just different areas that could be impacted by storms as they roll through, whether it's wind or whether it's water related. So I came out here just to kind of inspect everything. I do this quite often. And I even did this quite often when we had this in our storage facility as well. I'd try to come out at least a couple times a week so I could inspect it, make sure everything's okay, make sure that nothing's gotten into it, make sure that we don't have any rodents. And as a part of that, from a precautionary perspective, you know, I know these things are super gimmicky to some degree. They may not work for everyone, but this actually is a tool that's used to get rid of bugs, rodents, things like that from inside of your RV. Now, I don't know how effective they really are. And, you know, I know there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that go over the effectiveness of these ultrasonic, you know, noise emitting, light flashing items to prevent rodents and things from getting inside of your RV, inside of your car, your hood, your garage, things like that. And for the most part, they tend to have pretty bad reviews. Most of them do. This specific one seems to have a pretty good review. It's audible. I can actually hear the thing. It kind of makes a crackling noise. Let's see if you can hear this if I get it close. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But this specific one came in a set. So it had one that plugs into the wall, which I currently have in the garage. It has one that can be hardwired under your hood. And what I did was I bought this little 12-volt adapter that comes with the ability for you to just put a power and negative lead directly to a plug at the end. I switched it to 12 volts, and I can just set this on the counter and have this in here. I could probably double-side tape it to something so the lights are more visible. I believe that is a photo sensor here on the bottom as well. So it has the ability to know when it's in a dark or light environment, so it can kick on, it can flash, it can do different things. And when it's sitting here stationary, it's not really doing much until something either moves in front of it or it shakes slightly. And if something shakes it, it starts going into this kind of chirping, it's a little crackling noise, lights start going off. But it's got pretty good reviews, to be honest with you. Out of all of this type of solution out there, this one and I think one other, just the reviews beat all the others. Now, that being said, I have one of these right here, which is supposed to do something similar. It doesn't have lights on it and everything. It just has a little blue indication on it, and it's supposed to emit some ultra-high frequency sound that cockroaches and mice and rodents hate. But from an overall function perspective, I can honestly tell you that seems as if it would be a lot more functional, since it's actually making a bit of a noise that you can hear. It's kind of an odd noise. You can tell it kind of varies through frequencies. And it has lights that flash on it, and it's basically doing a lot more. So I could see how something like that, if it detects a rodent or something like that, would probably be more likely to scare it off. So who really knows, though? My big thing, and this is advice that I give to everybody, you just have to be very vigilant. You have to look where rodents and bugs can get into your RV. You have to be vigilant with making sure you spray for them. In terms of bugs, you also have to look for areas where water can get in, different things that can cause problems. And if you're not out in your RV checking this stuff frequently, then your RV is going to start to die. It's going to start to experience failures. It's going to start to have issues if you don't catch them and fix them as they happen. A good example of that is your home. If you leave your home for 6 months and come back, you're likely to find insects in your home. You're liable to find rodent droppings in your home. You're liable to find water that leaked somewhere, or something that just stopped working, or something that broke while you were gone. And when you discover it, you're going to realize that if you had caught it earlier, you probably could have prevented it from happening to whatever degree it happened in terms of some type of a failure or damage. And RVs are actually worse. They're a lot worse because you're talking about something that's designed to be modular. You're talking about something that's designed to be mobile, something that's designed to be pulled down the road. And because of that, you're going to have other access points. This thing is not sitting on a concrete foundation. It's sitting on axles and tires and wheels. You have a plastic underbelly kind of sealing the bottom of it, which something can chew through. Shoot, you can take a pocket knife and cut through it. It's just designed to keep the area between the floor here and the ground protected, as well as kind of insulated to some degree, so you can run a heat duct in it and essentially keep things from freezing. And not all RVs even have that. So whenever you look at an RV, you can't look at it like this thing that's designed to just sit out next to your home or in a storage facility for, an unlimited amount of time, and you just come out to it and take care of it when you choose to. What you're going to find out is if you don't run a dehumidifier, if you don't run your air conditioner occasionally, if you don't run certain components, not only are they going to have challenges whenever it comes time to starting them up or using them when you need to use them, but you're also going to realize there's going to be issues in your RV. You're going to have mold, you're going to have mildew, you're going to have all sorts of things that will even happen in a home if you leave it stagnant, if you don't run an air conditioner, if you don't run, a dehumidifier, if you don't do things. If you leave a home vacant for again, 5-6 months at a time, or even 3 months at a time, you're going to come back to it and find you're going to have issues in different areas, especially if you have appliances, if you have things that have been used with water, if you don't have your drains completely empty, if you haven't winterized it. And that's simply because water will eventually turn into humidity or moisture. That moisture will get on things and around things. It will get into your home. It will get into your RV through any crack that it can. And let's say that I have a little leak right here on the slide. Water comes down, it starts kind of getting that part of the carpet wet. Well, eventually that water is going to cause mold, mildew, delamination on the inside. It's going to damage the wood, but it's also going to get in the air. And when it gets in the air, it'll start clinging to things. And you're going to start noticing thin layers of mildew on tables, on cabinets, on different areas. Like even right now, it feels a bit humid in here. Now I have my dehumidifier running right here, and I also have the air conditioning run. The challenge I have right now is the air conditioner is set to turn on at 82 degrees. It's 57 degrees in here because it's cool outside. But as you can probably tell by looking outside, it is super foggy. Fog is condensation. That's water in the air. And it can get in, and it will get in, because an RV is far from being airtight. So when it does get in, it's going to settle on things, and it's going to cause problems. It can even lead to things like delamination. It can lead to windows having problems. It can lead to leaks and things like that as it settles in areas if you don't take care of your RV. If you don't do things, if you don't monitor your RV, if you don't keep an eye on it. For me, I come out and I check on the RV just about every day now. And it's not because I need to, it's because I choose to, because I don't want to run into a scenario that, could lead to a problem down the road that I've just been avoiding simply because I haven't gone into the RV and checked it out. Let me give you an example of that. So, again, we had a hard rain yesterday. I always come in and I always feel these areas near the slides. I feel for any type of moisture. No moisture at all. Perfectly dry here. I have 4 slides, which means there's 8 points that I need to check since a slide's going to have 2 sides. This one's really easy because it's wood. I'd be able to see if there's any water damage there. Coming around over here. No water damage there at all. I look for any puddling that might have gotten underneath it. Unlikely if you don't see water damage on the edges. And the reason why I'm saying the edges is because when water hits the top of the slide, it's going to want to work its way down the side or off of the front. Now, I do have slide top awnings that cover these slides, but you're still going to have moisture that wants to come down the side of the slide, and that's where it would collect if you saw it. It's very unlikely you would have water right here, only because the slide is kind of covering that area. If it rains, it's going to pour off. Now, if you travel with your RV quite a bit, and you notice after you get to where you're going, and you went through a rainstorm or inclement weather on the way, you definitely want to check your slide right here. Because what you may be experiencing is from the tire spinning through water, it's spraying the bottom of your slide and forcing water between the gap there. And if that's the case, basically what you're doing is you're forcing water from the bottom of the slide, the area where the tire's spinning, up into this area and into your carpet. And you can generally tell if there's water or if all of this is wet. You have ways to combat that. Typically, creating some type of a shield around your tire will help you do that. Basically, anything to avoid water spray from forcing its way up and into the actual RV. Another way to avoid water getting into your RV is when you wash it, don't spray up and against the windows, because it will get into the weep holes and it will actually force water into your RV as well. But yeah, I go through and I check everything out. I only have 2 slides open right now because it got really, really windy and I didn't want to keep the other ones out. I'll check this out as soon as I put the slides out. But again, it is just a good idea. It's good practice to come to your RV, you know, as often as feasible for you. I don't want to say every single day, even though that would be ideal, but come to your RV and just check it out. And the comparison that I think is worth making is, again, RVs tend to sit unoccupied for a much longer period of time than a residential home. And a residential home is built to a far different standard than an RV. Even though RVs are, you know, specifically designed to be towed down the road, it doesn't necessarily mean it's sealed as well or it's built as good. And part of that is simply because of how the manufacturing process needs to take into account that ability to move, to open slides, to do all sorts of other things. So it's always a good idea to come and inspect your RV as often as possible, as frequently as possible, simply because you may discover something that's starting to form that you can address now that will help you avoid a costly issue later. And I think that a lot of avid RVers, especially folks who keep their RV on a certain property site, would probably be able to agree with that. It's just so important to take care of your RV if you want it to last any length of time, and if you don't want it to turn into a rotting investment that's just losing more and more money sitting on a piece of property at an RV lot. And then when it comes time to actually use that investment, you can't because you've had some problem. Anyways, guys, I sure hope this video has been helpful. You know, it is just like your teeth. You brush your teeth every single day, multiple times a day, because you want to keep them. You don't want them to go bad. You start forgetting to do that, or you don't do it right. You don't floss. You don't do all the things that you need to do to take care of your dental health. An RV is going to be the same way. It'll start falling apart. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to maintain it, and you have to treat it as if it's something that's important to you that needs to be taken care of for it to last. I'm going to put a link to that in the description, or at least the kit that I bought. Again, I don't know if it works, honestly. I feel like it does. I haven't seen any rodents. I haven't seen any bugs. I haven't seen anything in here of alarm. I checked the bottom skirting. I checked underneath. I haven't seen any rodent holes, any droppings, nothing so far. So, you know, crossing my fingers that the thing works. Crossing my fingers that, you know, I've been able to do enough down there. I've put, you know, some really interesting shakeable products down there, including Snake Away and some other stuff that smells like mothballs, which is the Snake Away stuff. And I feel like it's probably helping. But if I find a rodent in the RV, if I run into a scenario where I see that they've been chewing through something, I will absolutely tell you, and I'll let you know. And we have enough hawks around here. Maybe they're taking care of all of them for me, because the only thing that seemed to thrive down here are the squirrels and the gophers. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.